So the latest polls are quite wonky in that Biden is still leading in spite of having gaffes every single day, in spite of being incomprehensible most of the time, so in spite of just, I can't even list them all. It'd take too long to remember. I could just go through and talk about each and every one of his gaffes because he's making new ones every day. This last one, this record player thing, what the hell? What is he on? I mean, they say it's dementia and everything. Maybe he's on some weird drugs or something. I've worked with many demented people. I used to be a administrative social worker in a nursing home, so I know what dementia looks like. I have a lot of experience with that. This is, I don't know. It's more than just dementia. I don't know if he's on pills or something. Like, was it Gavin McInnes was talking about how he thought that Biden, creepy Uncle Joe, looked like someone who was just on a lot of pills. Like maybe he got on some weird medications after his son died, and it kind of drove him mad. And not even Barack Obama has endorsed him, and yet he's still number one in the polls. I'm looking at Real Clear Politics right now, and he's still ahead of Sanders and Harris and my candidate, my beloved Marianne Williamson, orb mother, is still at 0, or she's gone down to 0 in spite of being still very much talked about and very much memed about. But the left has kind of attacked her, almost to the point, even to the point where she said that the right wing has been nicer to her as far as spirituality goes. Because, like I said in my last video, okay, so we have Tulsi Gabbard. She's Hindu, but she's not making big deal of that. But Marianne Williamson basically follows a Hindu faith. We consider transcendental meditation alongside A Course in Miracles, which is Christian, but it's also New Age. We need to face that. We need to own up to that. She got into some trouble because she was talking about praying for the hurricane and praying for the people in harm's way. And people were just bashing her for that, like, prayer doesn't do anything, prayer doesn't help, we need to get people out of there. The time you spend praying could be spent getting people out of the place. And so I think the left, this just demonstrates very clearly how secular they are. Like, it's still a secular left, and I think that has to do with, I'm just going to say it has to do with communism. It has to do with left-wing politics. It has to do with this idea that, no, we are going to abolish the family, we are going to create the big welfare state and all that. That stuff really isn't very compatible with religion. That stuff really isn't very compatible with spirituality. I mean, even though you can come to it from completely spiritual ends and for reasons, but that's just not going to register with a lot of people. People are going to interpret that as weird religious stuff. As someone who has read A Course in Miracles, I've read the text 4 times now, I think, and at least 4 times, and I've done all the lessons. It's not something that you can really easily, succinctly explain on a debate stage, just the same way as Canada's potential PM, who is a Sikh. Not many people know about Sikhism. It's not something mainstream yet. And even though Oprah brought A Course in Miracles into the mainstream, that's what made Marianne Williamson so famous to begin with, it's still not something that people generally use. It was also in Crystal Cathedral. There's unity churches, left-wing churches, Unitarian churches that, I say left-wing, I mean churches that are LGBT inclusive and more spiritual or support left-wing policies, aren't as hung up on pro-life causes, etc., like traditional Protestants or whatever. I mean, it's out there, but it's not something that people who are really deep into politics are really part of. At least evidently not. And I'm saying this not because I don't think she doesn't have any hope. Because again, as I said in my Minute from Marianne video, like everyone said, Trump was totally ridiculous. But it turned out that his freshness, the oddity behind him, his meme magic, which Marianne has in spades, that actually helped. And the polls didn't really mean much in the end. However, with this latest batch of polls, it just makes me feel sad because it's like, well, she's consistently at 0. And I'd have no idea how these other candidates are ahead of her. It really is shocking. I mean, why would Klobuchar be ahead of her, for example? What interest has Klobuchar really generated? I remember seeing Kamala Harris in an airport somewhere, and this was during like her rise. This was like her peak, which she's falling from, and she didn't even have much of a crowd there. You know, like was it Candace Owens was there, and more people were excited to see Candace Owens, the conservative, the red pill black commentator. Gosh, it's hard to get through these tonight. I tell you what, just breaking the fourth wall here a little bit. I just wanted to say that. All week, and one reason it's taken me so long to make videos this week is because my neighbors are doing construction, and it's been an all-day thing. It's really, I'm almost to the point where I need to get a hotel room to get some peace. It's midnight here, and I never record videos at this time. But anyway, I saw another article, and with disparaging title, "Why Marianne Williamson's brand of spirituality isn't working." And people are confusing it with the conservative side. They think that if you're religious, that means you're right wing, or if your spirituality isn't just some strict veganism or something. I don't know what people on the left are expecting. I don't know what's so wrong about saying that we should pray for things, but you know, the secular left. Maybe it's the atheists. So many atheists are left wing. It's hard to say exactly. But I feel bad for her, and I'm going to keep promoting her. And I'm reading her book right now. I'm finally getting through A Return to Love. I'm about halfway through it. And I do have some criticism about it. I think she doesn't go personal enough, but it is kind of old. But I wish she had talked more about her, so far anyway. I wish she would talk more about her alcoholism. You know, I want a scene like 28 Days where she gets smashed into the wedding cake or something. Or she mentions just in passing in the opening that she was able to go to Ho Chi Minh City when she was a kid. Well, I want to know everything that she has to say about Vietnam. That's totally my interest. But no matter what happens, I'm still going to follow her, and I'm still going to meme her, and who knows, like, more than the other candidates, I'd say she has a better future in politics, and this could be setting up something pretty good. But again, as I had talked about earlier, like when you try to marry spirituality with politics, you end up creating something that most people can't really stomach, or many people can't really stomach, unless it's like some classic, you know, you've got your Protestant conservative or your Catholic Democrat or something. I just don't think the world or America is ready for a president who follows A Course in Miracles, but it's going to happen someday. And and the other thing, okay, she says, oh, everyone attacks me for being into crystals or alternative medicine or whatever. Well, no, okay, there's a reason for that. If you go to find her book in any bookstore or any place that sells A Course in Miracles, you'll find it right alongside all of these other spiritual practices that involve things like crystals, that involve things like praying for meditation. Let's not forget that the origin of A Course in Miracles actually goes back to Christian Science, which was maybe the first metaphysical religion in America, maybe the world of its styling, which has since morphed into Course in Miracles, Unity Village. There's religious science, Ernest Holmes, New Thought, even really popular stuff that's not that good, like The Secret or whatever. And so when you put yourself in that big of a field, that big of a branch of spirituality, of course people are going to lump you in with other things. And telling someone not to take medicine isn't the same as telling them that medicine isn't necessary, but you could understand why people would make that confusion that, okay, yeah, it's not necessary. You could potentially pray these problems away, but take it if you need it. Take medicine if you need it. Okay, that's not like saying to someone, it's not like Jehovah's Witness who says, well, if you need a blood transfusion, it's better just to die. In Christian Science, and I know Christian Science quite well because I was a member of a couple of different churches in a few different countries, in 2 different countries. And they say, well, and Mary Baker Eddy, the founder of the religion, says that, well, if your stage of belief isn't to that point where you can heal with just prayer, then you should take the medicine. And she admitted to taking medicine. I think even morphine, even stronger medicines. But finding that her method of thought or whatever, or however we want to decipher all of this, she determined that it was better. But this is the problem with New Age spirituality. I call it New Age spirituality, but it's New Thought spirituality, which gets lumped in with the New Age. And again, if you need any evidence, just go to any New Age bookstore. You'll find Marianne Williamson's books right alongside homeopathy, right alongside tarot, right alongside crystals, right alongside transcendental meditation, which she claims to follow as well. Just like Andy Kaufman was a practitioner of transcendental meditation. And it's an Indian religion, and we have Tulsi Gabbard, who is a Hindu, but not someone who talks much about her spirituality. Whereas that seems to be the core message, the core point of Marianne Williamson, because that's what she's been doing. That's her career. She started out as a writer, specifically someone who wrote about A Course in Miracles. I could go on and on and on. I could talk about Marianne all night, but I do want to make a couple more videos, and I do want to get to sleep at a reasonable hour. So more next time. Over and out.